Good morning. Welcome to our live talk program. This is Lloyd Grubb here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, doing our live talk program covering wisdom for living on this here Friday morning. Rise and shine and give God the glory. And this morning here, I'm looking at a topic: get a blog, camera, YouTube channel, school, social media. So get a blog, camera, YouTube channel, social media, and a school. So this is our topic for this morning here. I'm looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 9, the ending part of it. So welcome again. Hopefully you had a blessed night rest and ready to take on the challenges of today and grab some of the opportunities that will come your way. Let us pray. Our Father who art in heaven, I thank you again for your blessings, the wisdom, the things that you teach us, the things that you give us the opportunity to meditate upon. Pray that you may bless us, dear Lord, as I look at this topic here. May your grace be with us for Christ's sake. Amen. So I'm looking at this topic here, and this topic here is coming straight out of Ecclesiastes 9, verse 13 through 18. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 13 through 18. And I'm continuing with Ecclesiastes most naturally as we do our wisdom for living. And I'm looking at this topic, which is get a blog, camera, YouTube channel, school, social media. So get your whatever you're doing out there, and the more you get it out there, the more you can capitalize on whatever 15 minutes of fame that you're getting, or whatever talents that you have to bring to the table. So this is what I wanted to encourage you and challenge you this day to do, try to do for wisdom for living. So as usual, before I go into the topic, I want to read for you Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 13 through 18. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 13 through 18. This wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city, and few men within it, and there came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwark against it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no man remember that same poor man. Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of wise men are heard in quiet, more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroy much good. One sinner destroy much good. So that's Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 13 through 18. So Ecclesiastes 9 verse 13 through 18 to me brings, as Solomon says here, this is a great, it seems great to him, or it's a great anomaly in this life. It's this great thing that it's a very perplexing thing. Okay, here's a wise man. This city is being besieged. It's not a lot of people in the city, so they're outnumbered. And it's being besieged by a great king. And the king set up a siege. That means he's going to starve them to death, and he's going to be throwing weapons inside of it. And this wise man, someone does not explain how he does this, because if he did, he probably would have understand. He would have gained even greater wisdom. But he says this wise man here delivers the city. They set up a bulwark. They sieged it there, basically trying to tear it down. And this wise man somehow figure out how to outmaneuver a great king with a great army. And yet he says something happened. He says, now there was found this poor man, and by his wisdom he delivered the city, yet no man remember the same poor wise man. Not remembered. And you see this happening often in life. You how often you hear about somebody that died, and when you check it out, you find that the person it wrote how many movies that are very famous, but most people remember the actress or the actor in the movie, but they don't know who write the movie, or write the music, or who write a famous book, or who is behind the scenes when there's a production of something. You only know the front man. You don't know the person in the back. So this is this kind of anomaly that happens in life. And so you tend to not know. And yet, he says he doesn't just stop there. He says here that the wise man delivered the city, right? But then he said, um, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised. So the poor man wisdom is despised. And that's one thing I want to analyze today. This idea here of the poor man's wisdom and how he says here this is despised. And his words are not heard. So the poor man's wisdom words are not heard. But in a siege, they listen to him. So this is kind of strange. But you see this happen all the time in life. Also, the words of the wise men are heard in quiet, and the cry more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. That's something also that I'll just say right now before I go into the body of what I'm talking about. That if you could go like I use preaching as an example. You could preach because this is the flip of what happened with the story with the wise man to me. It's partly a flip, and this is what it is. You could preach to an audience of say 10 people that is wise, and it's a powerful experience because those 10 wise people, they get it, they understand, they see the gems that are being put forward. Now you could go and preach to 100, now 10 times more fools, and they're all falling asleep. They can't get it. It's going over their head. And I'm like, and you'll be like, oh wow. And you go back to the 10 preach, and it's lit, as they say. The excitement is palpable. And then you go back to fools, and they fall asleep. They're distracted. They're looking here. They're looking there. Their brain never turn over. And I'll read it again, so you can see what the wisdom in this. So it is something to marvel at. Yet, the poor man could be talking to a very few people, and yet they get it, but they because they're not fools. Notice here. Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. But notice here, the words of wise men are heard in quiet, more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Now it would be great if the king that ruleth could rule among wise men instead of fools. But the king is ruling amongst fools, and so he could be the wisest king or the foolish king. Doesn't matter. He could be shouting, screaming, and he's a bunch of dum dums, so they won't hear it. So this is the type of anomaly that he says, I have to stop and have to really think about it. Because normally the wise man, oh thou wise man, tell me what is the answer for this question or this riddle or this problem. And the wise man quietly tell you, go about your way. But it's heard. So if you're gonna have a choice, it probably better to be a wise man. Here's a trick now. Better to be a wise man and talk to, say, 10 people than to be a king that's talking to a million fools. It's tricky. But nobody's going to remember the wise man, per se. But everybody's going to remember the king, even if he's a fool. You think about it, a fool as a king get up and start talking, and everybody has to listen. But it's a bunch of foolishness he's pouring out, and most of the fools don't get what he's saying because they're foolish, so they can't get it. So he's saying, then he says, better, he says, so he said the words of the wise are not heard in quiet. Nobody probably remember them. But those who do hear it have much respect for the wise man. Notice in verse 18, wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyed much good. Now this here is this last point here, but one sinner destroyed much good, is a study in itself. You think about, you could have, I remember after the Newtown shooting in Connecticut, that one sinner caused them to have to demolish a building, bury how many children, cause pain and suffering in how many families, and now have to build a new school building. Just the wreckage one sinner can cause. You could build up something for years, and one idiot with cocaine or some type of drugs just basically sniffing up their nose. Just one sinner can do so much that you can build up something for years, and as I say, you could get a king that is a fool, and he just destroys so much and set back a country so many years. It just take one, and that's the this again is a presentation. I think one day I have to go back to it and just do it as a presentation in itself. But I just wanted to touch on that point. One sinner destroy much good. One sinner, as I say, can go into a theater, can go at a music concert, can go into a church, and they just waste lives. And they're just sick as a dog, and there's just no other way to explain it. Same thing, you could be building up something, and it could be a church, a non-profit, and one rapist, pedophile, one thief, one something just come and just destroy, and their life is of no value to them, and they just rip and destroy because nothing is of value to them. And that's something that we see all the time. It's very devastating to watch, you know. And he said these things you have to really sit and ponder. You could build something up and somebody just destroy it. And when you look at it, they're not doing it for no good reason more than they're just wicked. And that's just the reality with life. One sinner destroy much good. Probably not worth a presentation because it's simple to understand. It's a simple wisdom to observe in life, but it's a depressing thought. So I'm not gonna per se do probably a whole presentation. So I just wanted to include it here because this is part of the text. So wisdom is better than war. You know, wisdom. You could have one again wicked person decide they're gonna go for some false reason or hate, gonna go attack a nation and destroy it, and just rip up the water system, the electric grid, all kind of stuff for no reason. One sinner destroy much good, and you see it over and over again. So the topic again is get a blog, get a camera, YouTube channel, school, social media, whatever, and go get your message out. Now, why this topic? Based upon what Solomon says. I'm going to read a section for you again. He says, notice here, the poor man delivers the city, and yet no one remember the poor man, right? So this is where I get the idea. So what I think it says, probably the problem is the poor man wisdom does not get him out of poverty, so it is despised. So the wisdom is good in itself, but the poor man, either for some reason, because you probably want to live a very, what you call it, you want to live like a hippie. So probably because the poor man wants to live like a hippie, he does not use his poverty, his wisdom to get him out of poverty. So somebody looking at it and thinking, well, the value of life is comfort. And some people think the value of life is luxury. So if the poor man has that wisdom, why don't he use it to get him out of poverty? So I think that often probably is one of the reasons why the poor man's wisdom is despised. It's not because probably person per se despise wisdom. They just despise that. Why? Number one, they probably have a question if he's wise. And then number two, if they know he's wise, they say, well, why don't you use the wisdom to get you out of the position you are? So for that reason, I wanted to talk about that, and also this idea of how to use one wisdom to get you out, and how to capitalize on your 50 minutes of fame. So if you are a monster slayer, so if I'm talking to you and you're probably broke, you're probably not known, but you can slay monsters, then it's probably you need to get your story out there, and you need to capitalize on that 50 minutes of fame. So you just chop the dragon's head off. Well, probably you need to tell people how you did it, because there's people who are being slain by monsters all the time and need to know how to win. And so you need to know how to help them and how to capitalize on helping them. And when I say capitalize, I mean it all this positive, beautiful way. It's always positive if you're not oppressive. You're simply learning how to use that and leverage that same ability for greater purposes. because it's needed. In this life, all of us need to learn how to slay monsters. All of us need to learn how to overcome great difficulties. So if a person have this type of level of wisdom, I think part of it, in a way, probably their wisdom should be despised because they're not using it to benefit themselves and others. Because if one has such a great wisdom, shouldn't that wisdom be used to bless others? Since again, delivering the city was to bless the city. Delivering the city was to make the city has a formidable defense. So probably that defense mechanism that the poor man used to deliver the city, that ability should be used. So remember, everybody's going through dealing with monsters. We deal with monsters from a low level to a high level, and most of the time high level. Drugs, alcohol, corporations, country, poverty, physical disability, disadvantages, sickness, war. All of these are great monsters that we all face, and are in one point or other in our lives, or in somebody's life, we are going to face one or multiple of these monsters. So if you're facing this monster and there's this wise man and he has ability to slay monsters, we need to learn from him. We need to know what he has. He need to publish it. He need to put it out there. So this is why my topic again is get a blog, a camera, a YouTube channel, school, social media, get a course together. The course is going to be how to slay monsters, and charge a fee. And so the poor man won't be poor anymore because he's now capitalizing on it. So this is what I want to explore for the next few minutes with you. Because again, the wisdom is not getting him out of poverty. And if he has wisdom and I'm in poverty also, I'm going to be like, what's the big deal? Yeah, he can slay kings and monsters, but he can't get us out of poverty. I want to get out of poverty. So that's, I believe, could be one of the reasons why the poor man wisdom could be despised. And it's the same thing. I think about this because I think about this from a practical point of view. You're here, you listen on the podcast, whichever way you listen to me and I'm talking. I want to tell you that this is something that I think about, because I say, well, the wisdom should not just be intellectual wisdom. It has to be practical wisdom to solve problems, to build things. So if you listen to me even talk yesterday, I believe in that. I believe, like, for me, a test would be of whatever wisdom I've gained over the years would be to go into the most dire situation, probably somewhere in Central America, South America, Africa, the Sahara, and figure out how to build wealth and to build comfort in that type of environment. Because that to me is what true wisdom is basically knowledge, understanding, and applying it to solve everyday problems, whether they be physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, social. It's all wisdom. It is the wisdom of the Bible. Remember, even in building the temple, the Holy Spirit was upon, I can't remember his name, Hiram, I think it is, or something, and he was able to do masterful work of art, and that's part of wisdom. It is part of the spark of life, of genius from God that we all have, but we have to tap into it. And the more you tap into it, the more you like can be surprised of how much genius is in your brain that God give you. So notice here some point that I think is important to consider. If you are getting your 15 minutes of fame, if you slay a monster, and that monster could just be heroin, it could be poverty, a disadvantaged situation, and you slay that monster, and now you're sitting comfortable. But you're comfortable. You're not doing well. You can pay your bills. So I'm telling you, probably what you need to do is figure out to use that story and that ability now to capitalize on it, to write a book. You see, what happened? You write a book. You can't write a book, write a booklet. If you can't write a booklet or a book, you get somebody and pay them to write it for you. And you produce your book. And you say, this is my book. I'm an author now. What are you author about? When I slay a monster. I destroyed a king, a great king, who came to to take the city, and my wisdom outmaneuver a major king. This is something that needs to be chronicled. I chronicle in a book, and for the price of $14.99, you can get this book. And if you get this, this plate mat, we throw the plate mat in for extra $4.99. You can get it for $19.98. This book and this plate mat. So when you're sitting and eating, you can see a picture of my grill, and you can see Monster Slayer on it. We slay monsters all day long. And you get that. You can become now a security consultant. You see this wise man here, all of a sudden you can be like, oh, I can go to all the small towns, and for a reasonable fee and a night at a hotel and a car back and forth from the cities, or a chariot back in that time, you could have me tell you how to set up your defenses so you could fight against larger kings who want to come and raid your town and rape your woman, and you paint the picture dark. As I say, a good politician never make a tragedy go to waste. So you paint the picture dark. You need me to teach you guys how to secure your city, and for the right price, I'll help you. I remember back in the past, after 9/11, what's his name? Rudy Giuliani, the then mayor of New York City, became a consultant. He started a consultant firm, and he would go to foreign countries and consult them on security. And I was thinking, wow, that's weird. He didn't stop the attack. He just was a recipient of the attack. His city was just, messed up for a little bit, or a section of it. Why would I want him to consult with me on security? I mean, if I want to know how to suffer an attack, that's who I'll go to. But he was a security consultant. He was going places to tell them how to secure a city. And I think part of that also was because New York City had been cleaned up, and then you find out that the person who started cleaning up New York City was Mayor Dinkins, but he took the credit for it because it came out of his watch, the results. So it's a similar thing you're watching right now. So he became an expert in security, and I'm like, really? You see, so it's this type of stuff. So people see how you can capitalize on it. So this poor man, after this tragedy, he didn't need to be poor anymore. But if he had that skill in the beginning, he shouldn't have been poor, because he should have used that methodology to show people that this wisdom is valuable because I can use this wisdom to get me these results. Notice here, he should have copyrighted. So one of the things I believe he should have done, and you probably need to do in your method, whatever that method you use, you give it a name, you coin a name. How to pull a switch, and you know how to switch it up. You give it some catchy name that you can print on t-shirts and stuff like that. And you copyright it, and you start print your t-shirts and whatever, and people can wear your call of whatever that war was. You put up, you copyright it, you patent the method, so that nobody can teach it, and somebody teach it, you can sue them, so you can make some more money, some back-end money off of it. Because again, you're learning now, as I say, how my topic is: get a blog, a camera, a YouTube channel, a school, social media, and get your story out. Because as I said, there's people out there who are willing to listen, because they're being slain by great kings, by monsters, and they want to learn how you do it. So that's important. So give the wisdom method that you use to slay the monster a name. So make it a name. I believe the name should either be something similar to whatever the main point is in the wisdom, or the name should just be your name. Because remember, the Bible, what Solomon says, is that the poor man who delivered the city is going to be forgotten. So you're trying to keep your name alive. So when people talk about the battle and talk about your method, your name is the method. It's just like if you think about it, you have so much rules in physics and chemistry that, and even things that, the Bunsen burner and the various different things that you use in chemistry in labs are names of people who invented them or came up with them. And so you hear the name and you're thinking, oh, it is a special method of doing something, but the person named the method of themselves. So forever, when you think about certain chemical formulas, certain mathematical formulas, you're constantly saying the person's name. And so nobody will forget the person, because they'll be like, oh, we're studying such and such and such method today. I'll be like, okay, let's see what this is all about. But the person never gonna be forgotten, and they have capitalized. Notice, so you give the wisdom a method name, just analyzing what Solomon is saying here, and analyzing why somebody who would have all this wisdom be poor still, and their name would be forgotten, because they didn't use the wisdom for other things. Also expose those who use your methods without crediting you. So you need to expose those. If somebody using your method and they're not crediting you, you need to say, well, look, I need to call the media and have a talk with the media because such and such in this town over there is using my method and he's not crediting me with the method. And I just want to remind everybody that I was the first person that came up with this method to protect a city from a great king. And so, I'm going to ask him to do the right thing and give me the proper credit. Also, you set up a scholarship fund. You see people do this all the time. Oh, we're going to keep the memory of such and such alive. So they set up a scholarship fund, and then a child can graduate as a Rhodes Scholar. And you say, who's a Rhodes Scholar? Somebody named Rhodes set up a scholarship so that people will always remember them. And then you say, who's that person? And when you go investigate who that person, you say, oh, all right. So again, set up a non-profit to remember the battle and let your children sit on the board with paid position so their livelihood is locked into remembering you. All right. So this is a method you see people use all the time so that they even if they're a little poor man, they don't be forgotten. They do a little even museum on the side. So on one side of the building that you're going to set up this new and you're going to do one of these extortion like some of these civil rights leaders do, where they try to extort major companies to give them money to keep their non-profit going. They start to attack them for being racist. So you do one of those things. You go to the town and say, hey, look, all the spoils, I need a percentage of the spoils. And if you don't, I'm going to start screaming and making you guys look bad. And they say, okay, we give you the money. We're going to do the money, use the money for. Well, I'm going to use the money to set up a non-profit. And this non-profit is going to be to remember the battle. But really what it's about is to remember me. So my memory stays alive. And who's going to sit on the board? Oh, my kids. So they're going to be, every day they get up, in order for them to get pay, they have to keep their father's memory alive. And next door, on the other side of the building, the office building is going to be one side. The other side is going to be a museum where we're going to keep some of the artifacts from all the soldiers and the king that we kill over here to remember. And it's going to be a nice little museum because I don't want them to forget me. And me and my family are going to profit off this. All right? This is what people do, right? And you see this happen all the time in society. They set up a non-profit. A non-profit becomes, their children work for the non-profit and they have paid position and their livelihood is locked into the remembrance of their parents. So even if they don't love their father, but they love the money that the non-profit brings in. So they'll be like, oh, we talk such glowing about him because we think he's the greatest. And every time we see our paycheck, we think he's even greater. Another point here I think is important to consider is make sure the town name the battle after you by your name. So whatever that battle is, you're going to set up a stone and a plaque and you want them to name it after you. So when history write about that battle and now the method that they used to overcome the great king, they refer to you and people think, oh yeah, and so that you build up your clout. All right. So this is why I think those type of things are important. No, I say all of that because all of that is built in wisdom. All that is built up wisdom that we see over the years. There's more I have to say, but for a second here. So we see over the years being used. We see how people try to keep the memory of whoever alive. They try to capitalize on it. They set up a little museum in the middle of nowhere, and people can go and tour the museum. But it's just a way to make some money off this great event that people are fascinated with. How is this happening? That even Solomon wrote about it. But notice Solomon doesn't mention what city, who the person is. He just says generically this thing happened over and over again. And you've seen some people, they I don't know if they had it in them before, but they got their 50 minutes of fame and they ride that thing all the way to 10 years later, you're still hearing about them. And they're keeping it because what happened is their way of making some money. It's their way of getting some fame. So these things, I think, are often the practical wisdom that is applied for day-to-day living, because all of that is wisdom. It's just you figuring out how to make something, make some money, some value out of something that's really not there, how to milk it. They say that you have to know to milk a cow. Never do that. So I fully don't understand what the statement means, because I don't see people pulling on the other. And I guess sucking and pulling at the same time. I know what they're doing, because if you pull it with your hand, I guess, I don't know. You see, I don't know what's happening. I see the thing, but I never get an explanation of what happened when you milk a cow. But they say you milk it, you just keep trying to get as much as you can out of it. And I think this is what the wisdom of life is. You're trying to get as much as you can for as long as you can out of whatever you're doing. And you're trying to do it without being a narcissist or anything, but for practical intensive purposes. You're trying to suck as much life as you can, pull as much life as you can out of each day of life without stressing yourself, most naturally. And this is what we just talked about. This is the wisdom of that. Is that you're taking something and basically taking something. It has to be something. It has to be something there for you to milk. You just don't milk the air, you milk a cow. So you're taking something, you're trying to make more out of it. You're trying to multiply. And the better you and I get at this is actually the better we are. And it's actually more potent, your wisdom. Now, the poor man wisdom was real. He delivered a great city. So this is not something to laugh at. This is something to respect. He delivered a city. But basically what we're doing here, we're applying whatever technology, whatever methodology that others have done before and are doing to whatever we're doing to get as much as we can out of something. Where something as like this poor man happened to him and he remained poor because he can't pull as much that you and I can pull out of it, or what we're trying to. We're trying to take a little and make it. And there's times when I look back and I say, there were some tragedies or some bad things that happened, and I purposely choose not to try to milk it, because I realize it is a gimmickiness to it that if it's not solid enough, you're going to only be able to milk it for a certain amount of time. And so some opportunities you have to pass up. But other opportunities thinking, yeah, this was worth milking. So you want to milk it. Now notice here, we just read in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 13 through 18, the end part of it. So I'm going to read to you the reason why, and then explore a little bit more with you. The reason why you got to get that blog, camera, YouTube channel, school, social media, whatever, and all of that stuff, because everything else could be part of the topic. Get everything to be able to get as much or the most you can out of what you're doing. Notice here in Ecclesiastes 9, verse 10 and 11. It says, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might. And it goes on to say, for there's no work, nor device, knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither you goest. So it says, if you hadn't find to do it, you're alive. So do it with all your might. In other words, give it the best you have, give it the most you have, give it the best mind the most time of your mind power, brain power, sorry, and you hit it hard, right? You hit it as hard as you can. And that's important. This to me is the answer to the whole chapter of Ezekiel 9. What is it that makes for success? And I think it's the wisdom is there, all that is there, but it is the giving it your all. It's to milk it, it's to get everything you can out of it. And that's what you do. In every situation, you just get as much as you can. You don't try to get as least, you fight. And I find, it's sometimes tiring to fight, but when you fight and you push hard, you beat back and you bash some, break some coconuts, as they say. You're gonna look back and be like, at least I got the most out of the situation. Notice here in verse 11, he says, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. So, what's the answer? To me is verse 10, right? Whatsoever thy hands find to do, you do it with all thy might, because there's no knowledge, no wisdom, whatever. So whatever your hands find to do, do it all thy might. It is that what makes the difference to me, because again, the race is not given to the swift. So you think of the fastest person that wins? No, it's the person that's most diligent, that give it all their might. Person could be very swift, but they have to put in that hard work. They have to figure out what it is. You could be very swift, and I'm just more diligent. I take some supplements, hopefully not steroids or the human growth hormone, but I just take some supplements. I do meditation. I sit and meditate and think on winning. Go to the Bible, find Bible scriptures that talk about winning, battling, being strong. And I have a mental conditioning that you don't. I discipline my diet in a way that you don't, so I have more energy, I have more focus. I take herbs for focus. I'm literally telling you, this is not hypothetical. I take herbs for mental focus on a daily basis. I take herbs for energy. I take herbs to make sure my kidney working right, my liver working right, my circulation going good. I take all of that and more. Why? Because it's about drive. It's about, so again, somebody say, well, he says, whatsoever that hand find to do, do it all thy might. So I'm like, what's the herbs for might, for drive, to be persistent? You take those. So I'm not just trying to mentally psych myself up. I'm nutrient-wise psyching myself up. So I just keep going. Why? Because the Bible tells me that time and chance happening to them all. What does that mean? It means that we all get a time and a chance. Notice the poor man, which is wise. He's wise. He won the battle for his wisdom. So notice it says here, nor the battle to the strong. The great king was strong. The wise man outmaneuver him with wisdom. So might is not the only thing. That's why I say it's an overall conditioning that is needed to win. So you go out there and you get whatever you do, whatever you can. You get as much as you can out of it. While somebody is there with better wisdom and better skill, don't get as much as you can out of it. And then somebody said, but I thought he's supposed to. How many people fail in life and they fail not because they were just exceptionally talented? They were exceptionally talented and they were supposed to succeed. But somebody that has more overall, behavior, manners, respect, understand how to talk, how to connect with people, how to put themselves in a certain situation, and yet have probably inferior, we call it skills, but they'd put more into their health, put more into all of that. The overall package made them a winner and a consistent winner, while the person's talent will come and go. You're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days, you're going to have some over-the-top great days, great highlights, but they're not going to be consistently winning. because the other thing is dogging them. So the Bible is not given to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise. How many people be wise like this poor man, but he be poor? And you say, how is he poor? And he's so wise because somebody has figured out how to get bread. Or they say make bread out of stone. How somebody figure out how to get the most out of nothing. And they get the bread. They get the greenback. I know this bread here is talking about flour, but I'm just saying. Yet riches to men of understanding. You know, they every now and then they highlight somebody who dropped out of college. I don't necessarily think it's a good thing, because I think you start a course, you finish the course. But if the person figure out, I got it, I'm good. Somebody say, you good with me, good. You know, I don't need to finish this course. I think I figure out what I need to do. Boom, I'm out of here. I know what I need to apply myself and keep applying certain things, and I'll get there. And the person figure that's what schooling is. You get a doctorate because you can be self-taught. You're a self-learner, and you can follow proper methods to come to the proper conclusion. And the moment you can do that, they say, well, we give you a doctorate. You can do research, and you can produce the proper things. See, so this is the whatsoever thy hand find to do it, you do it with all thy might. All your might to me includes, as I say, every aspect of your life. Notice here, not favored to men of skill. So you can have somebody's men of skill, and they don't get the favor as some little knucklehead off the side of the street that know to run his mouth. And he getting favors all up and down. And somebody say, how he get into that position? Because he know to get into that position. That's his skill. Somebody say, what is his talent? He has no talent. His talent is to get into that position. He don't know what to do with it, but he's in. You're not. And you have all the education and all the ability, and you still can't get where you need to get to, because there's more to it. But time and chance happening to them all. Everybody get the opportunity. And so somebody say, oh no, I never get up. Everybody get the opportunity. You just have to know to take it. So when I say you go out there now and you go get a blog, get a YouTube channel, get a school, get a social media outlet, get something to sell that story, it is more you're learning to get the most out of it, and you start to understand what it takes to get there. It is not just getting this, you know. You think about what's going on with this idea here of student loans. And I've mentioned something like this before. But don't you think it's a thing also that if a child goes, get a student loan to do a liberal arts course, you know, they just do a course that is useless for the most part. And it's probably going to be a teacher to teach kids useless education. Something that they could just go to a school and read a book, you know, like liberal arts course in some schools. Some schools could be African studies. You know, you could just go read 2 or 3 books and, okay, that's enough. I need to learn more about Africa. All right, so you just like I could go do European studies and go find out about fine art or stuff like that. Okay, that's a waste of time. I could just go buy 2 books on Amazon, read them, and I'm good enough. That's enough for me. So there's nothing practical in making money. So don't you think it's probably not a bad idea for a child to go, you know, run up a bill of about $80,000, getting like a liberal arts degree that I if you know what the use of it, tell me. I don't know what the use of that degree. I haven't figured it out yet. And now they have $80,000 in debt, and that is like a welcome to adulthood. Welcome to making dumb decision and get yourself into a lot of financial thing. Because that's also like the person failing at life. That's like telling me after 18 years, the person basically don't know how to make decisions. And they will fail because they don't know how to make decisions. While that same person could probably spend $8,000, do a course, forget about even a degree, just a course, a certificate, and the end result is they get a job and they're making money off that certificate. And within a year, they can pay back that $8,000, and they're financially better off than the person who got the $80,000 in debt. Isn't it part of life that you learn to not make dumb decisions, and you learn to make decisions that are financially viable? But somebody say, oh, but I want to do it. My heart is in it. You know, this is what I really believe that I'm called to do. Well, go ahead, but you're called to make money also. You need to eat. So it is that, and again, I know I introduced this concept, and I don't have enough time. I need at least an hour or 2 to talk about something like that, just in case you miss it and thinking, how dare he says that? It's just life. So you know, okay, why go give free education to people that's gonna go to school for something that they're never gonna make money with? It's a waste of money. If you're giving somebody free education, at least they're supposed to contribute to the society. This person probably at 18 will never contribute to society because they're learning stuff that I don't know what it's going to do to society or for society. It's you're spending money to make money. I don't see the problem if somebody's going to spend money to advance their career, that they can make more money. I don't see why I need to take my tax dollars and pay for them. I already pay for their high school education and elementary education. After high school, I think you should go spend your own money and go run up some debt and pay for your own way. Because that's going to teach you a very valuable lesson that whatever you're doing, you need to make money. Unless you are, after you've already have a career and you want to go back to school to go spend a liberal arts degree, then you do it with your own cash. But don't do it with the taxpayers' cash. And you shouldn't do it with your parents' cash. You should do it by going into debt. And if you did that, that's okay. If you want to go into debt for that, that's fine. But at least you're going to debt for that on your own, not with taxpayers' dollars. Anyhow, that's a side note. But again, it speaks to the idea that there's somebody out there that will be in high school and figure out how to use their skills, their talents, their 15 minutes of fame, and they learn to get the most out of it by doing something, as I say, setting up a blog. I saw a blog of a guy that was arrested near Area 51, and he was a young man that one of his major shtick on his YouTube channel, and I think he has has almost 2 million or 1 point something million YouTube viewers, and he will make a boat with tape, with scotch tape, no tape, the tape where you tape stuff up, the tape on the roll, whatever you call that tape, and he'll tape up, make a frame, and then he'll tape up the boat, and then go in the boat in a lake and start rowing, and he make a boat out of tape. And I'm thinking, and there's 1 point million people who will pay him clicks by advertising dollar to do this madness. And it was from some European country. And I thought that was fascinating. That's crazy. And yet somebody else now, and he will end up, someone like him, I don't know if he is, but could end up making yearly more money than a person with a PhD. And then somebody say, should everybody go to school? Some people should, but someone like him, he should go teach. Well, he's already making the money, don't need to. But if you get what I'm saying, so the race is not for this, nor the riches given to those of understanding. Time and chance happened, and his chance came, and he's saying, I'm gonna make a whole bunch of money. Hopefully, he is making boat out of tape, and then going to literally taking a risk, I guess, but it's safe enough, I guess, to row it in water. And somebody say, I'll sit and watch this madness, and the advertisement will keep running, and he'll make money off me watching craziness because this is entertaining. So, and somebody looking at it and say, oh, that's foolishness. Well, yeah, it might be foolishness, but he's making serious money. He's learned to milk that for whatever he can get out of it. While the wise man who can defend a city against a great king is broke. So some more thoughts here. We have more to share with you on this. So, use your wisdom to build a bigger city. So another thing the wise man could do is to use his wisdom to build a bigger city. Because when you think about this, most of the time you want to live in an area that's secure, but part of the security is the statutes, the laws, the enforcement of those laws. So it's not so much that any location in the world is not safe per se. It's more so that the laws and the statutes are not being enforced, the mechanism to enforce them, and the willingness for the people even to comply. So this wise man, and if you're just joining me, I didn't say if somebody just joined, but I'm just saying if you just joined me, you would have a clue what I'm talking about, unless you read the text in Ecclesiastes 9, verse 13 through 18. But this wise man uses wisdom to outmaneuver and stop the aggression of a great king. So the method is used in his word exploring, but also the method is using is also good to build a city, because part of why people go into a city back in the past and even today is because there's security. The security apparatus is able to protect those who are inside. from those that want to destroy them or rob them or maraud. So the wisdom can be used then to build a bigger city, because then part of the advertisement that you need to use is 15 minutes of fame is to tell other people from other areas that you need to come to us because we can protect you, because we have this wise man and he's a genius at defense. He's a defensive genius. And not only that, we probably could use his defensive genius to actually do some offense also. So you need to come and join us and come to our city. Our city is the safest city from the big bad wolf. And people be like, really? Well, you know what happened? Not only I want to take a selfie with him, but I want to live next door to him. And I'm willing to, whatever area of town he's living, people are going to be like, not only I want to live in the city, I want to live in the section of town that he lives in, because that's going to be great. And so now that section of town they live in, the value is going to go up. The property value is going to go up, because they're going to say, if we have this person living in our town, the town must be safe. How many times you hear people say, yeah, I have a police living on my street, or on my block, there's a police living. What are they saying? Hey, there's somebody that can protect us. There's a person that slay dragons all day long, and he lives on my street. Isn't that beautiful? I think my street, the value of my street should go up. My house should be more expensive. So use your wisdom to build a bigger city. Another thing is advertise your ability to protect against the bad kings and get more citizens. So one need to say, come to our town, put up a billboard. Our town repelled this big bad wolf, and we're still alive. And others like, I need to come and find out how you do this. How did you do it? Oh, you're a hero. I don't even want to know. I just want to celebrate you. So advertise your ability to protect against big bad kings and get more citizens. That's important. If you slay dragons, then you need to tell people I slay dragons. So the people are afraid of dragons and they're screaming, ah, the dragons are coming after us. You just basically say, I protect you from dragon. Come over with me, and you're going to have to pay some taxes, and I need to get a cut. All right? You got to get a cut. Have a yearly memorial to celebrate and to commemorate the dead on both sides and emphasize the punishing laws of the great king. So you do, so you have your kids who sit at a nonprofit. They take the money from the town, and they pay to get a director, a film producer, produce a documentary on the war. And then you have a commemoration every year where you lay a wreath at the dead soldiers and the unknown soldiers and the people who fought and died. And you commemorate the Great War so that everybody can keep in remembrance of D-Day, when you lost a lot of soldiers, but you end up, cleaning the floor with the Germans. And so everybody could be like, yeah, you protect us. So that's the value of that. The value of that is not per se just what happened in the past. It's using that and keeping it alive so people remember. Be careful, because you remember when I whipped that general buttocks? Well, I whip your buttocks also. And that's what all of that is all about. So notice, you just do a yearly commemoration and make sure that you emphasize the punishing loss of the great king. So you emphasize how much of them died, and probably for morbidity and grossness, you get their skull, clean it up, get some people do that type of work, some taxidermists and stuff like that, that you clean up their skull and you make a big monument with their skulls, and you keep it outside the city to remember people, look, this is what will happen to you if you come up against us. And you scare the life out of them that are live around in other towns. Why is that? It is just taking something and getting more of it out of it. And the point there is that what you want to do in life is the same thing. Whatever in life, whatever you're dealing with, you can get more out of it. And you just get to this methodology of thinking, whether it be in your family, whether it be at your school, whether it be at your work, at your church, in your relationship, even your relationship with God, you want to get more out of it. Some people, they just want a relationship where they get a little bit, a little taste, a little something, nothing much. And they don't grow in grace and in the knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ because they just want to get something. but you want to get it, you want to milk it in every single way. You want to get as much as of it. Remember, you approach God as God love those who believe He exists. God diligently reward. God reward those who diligently seek Him. The more you seek God, is the more He will be found. The more you ask for a blessing, is the more you will be blessed. The more you follow His word, is the more you're blessed. The more you're faithful, the more He's faithful to you. The more you give, is the more. Because remember, you're approaching God as He's a kind God. He's a gracious God. He's a loving God. And the more you approach life like that, is the more you get out of it. Same thing when you approach individuals, you know that inside of us, even the darkest of our times, that there is something inside of us that we want to be loved, we want to be treated right, we want to receive kindness. And so you give it, and the more you give it, is the more the heart breaks down and the heart gives back it. The more you withhold, is the more it's withheld from you. And you don't want this to happen. So you get as much you can out of whatever situation you're in. You don't just say, well, I'm using the wisdom for this. The wisdom that you have is practical. It can be used in various situations. You use that wisdom to get the most you can out of the situation. Remember, somebody wants to learn what you're doing to overcome the dragons in their lives, in your lives, so that they can learn to overcome the dragon in their lives. Somebody is struggling with drugs, and they want to know how you overcame it. What did you do? How did you do it? How much effort did it take? How much time did it take? Where did you go for source of strength and power? And you might think, nobody wants to know that. But somebody wants to know. Somebody don't know. Remember why people go to school, why people pay money for school, why we have to pay tax dollars for school. Because somebody have to teach, and somebody's knowledge that they've gained is worth giving. And so somebody said, we'll pay you to give this child or this person this knowledge. And as the child get older, they're supposed to know what they want to learn, what they want to do for career. And they should be willing to pay somebody. That's their starting in life. You need to learn, what do you want to do to make money? Because if you're not using it to make money, you can just go buy a bunch of books and read it. Think about it. Why go to school to do certain things if you're not going to make money? You could just go and say, I want to learn about this topic, but I don't want to learn it to make money. So I'm going to go to school for it because I don't need a certificate in it. I just need to learn a topic for myself. So you go and you find out what are books used in the curriculum and just go buy those books. And then go online and go to the library, go to wherever and say, tell me the best books on this topic. You go take those books, you read it, and you learn. You don't have a certificate in it, but you're educated in the topic. But if you're doing it to make money, you say, I want to learn from the best of how to make money with this thing. Teach me the best methods. And you go, you learn those methods, because this is going to be, you have to be certified in it. To me, there's two different things. There's things that I want to learn, but I don't want to do it as a living. I would like to do certain things, but not as a living, not to make money. Okay, so somebody wanted to learn how to overcome alcohol. Somebody wanted to learn how to overcome the corporate system that locks certain people out of certain opportunities. And if you know how to do it, they want to learn it. Other people want to learn how to overcome countries, how to overcome big bad wolves, big bad kings. Well, if you have the method, you need to put it out there. You need to systemize it, put it in a sales funnel, and make some money off of it. You need to know how to get out of poverty. If you got out of poverty, share the information. Somebody don't know how to, and they want to. There's other people who want to stay in poverty. They're not going to look for the information. But if you have how to get out, they want it. Physical disabilities, disadvantages, sicknesses, war, all these things are wisdom that need to be shared. Get your story out there. Make some money off of it. Bless the people and eat off of it. Nothing wrong with that. And then you teach them how you did it and how you make some money and you bless some people, and then you go sell that also. It's all great. It's all good. So get a blog, get a camera, get a YouTube channel, get a school, get a social media, and go bless some people out there. It's worth it. Let's pray. Our Father who art in heaven, I thank you for the blessings of today. Thank you for the blessings of wisdom and for practical wisdom that you give us, dear Lord, how to truly be a blessing and to be blessed. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks to be with me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you again live tomorrow on Monday morning when we should talk about motivation. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.